Hello everyone, welcome to another video on the channel. Wombo Leader here. This again is another video that is a little bit different to what I've normally been doing. But I wanted to do a video about tyre saving and why I think you should learn how to do it. We'll take a look at how we save tyres, and mostly what to give you a kind of visual reference in terms of the benefits to your lap times and then consequently your overall finishing time. Okay, so we all know we need to, it's a good idea to save tyres. Now there's several ways in GT Sport to save tyres, each having sort of varying benefits to them. So we'll take a look at, go through a wee list of what you can do to save your tyres in this game. So probably the biggest one is the first two involves braking. So the less time you can spend on the brakes, the less force you'll put through the tyres, therefore you shall save them. And if you can use reduced braking force into the heavy braking zones like hairpins, try only to use maybe about 70-80% of the braking force, that will make a massive difference to your overall tyre wear. Other little things you can do are downshifting in slower segments, so rather than just going down through the gears quickly in braking zones, going down progressively. This will stop the rear tyres locking, therefore sliding, and will help your tyre wear. Just being overall more smooth through the corners, trying to sort of reduce your turning angle as you go through the corners. Will also reduce your sort of lateral load on the tyres, and just not sliding the car at any point. So the smoother you can be, the more controlled you can be in the corners, the car's less likely to slide, therefore all of this is going to help tyre wear. Now taking it all in conjunction, you can make a significant difference to how much tyre wear you have over the course of a race or a stint. So we're going to take a look at 3 examples in this video. The first one that we have up on the screen is we are in a Group 2 car, the 2008 Lexus model. In this case we're at Autopolis short course. We've set it up in a custom racing. We have tyre wear set at ×10 and fuel set at ×1, and that's going to be the settings for the tyres and fuel for all the footage in this video. So this first run we are doing here is we are not trying to do any tyre saving. Now to be clear, we're not trying to destroy the tyres either, we're just sort of driving in a relatively normal manner. Try to keep up a sort of reasonable race pace. So we've got 10 laps of this short course here in the Group 2, and we shall get to the end of the run. We shall take a little bit of see what sort of tyre wear we've got, how the lap times are degrading, at what point we start to notice the lap times really starting to fall off, and then we'll do a run where we'll try and put in our tyre saving techniques and see what difference that makes to how much tyres we have left at the end of the race, compare the lap times and compare the finishing time. So what we're doing here, we're just going to fast forward through the footage here till we get towards the end. Now one thing to take note, or to sort of be aware of, is to try and put some of these techniques into practice. You're going to have to, you're making a change to your driving style, and it can be very, very difficult to make that adjustment. It's hard enough doing it when you're just in a sort of environment like I'm driving here, where there's not really anything to lose, but put yourself into sport mode in a real race, and once the adrenaline starts pumping and you're driving around other cars, it becomes doubly hard to put these practices in. But hopefully I can sort of demonstrate here why you would want to maybe try and incorporate it into your driving. Hopefully I can sort of demonstrate the benefit to your race and your race pace and your overall finishing time. And what's quite interesting about it is that to really sort of make the gains that we're going to see here, you're not trying to drive any quicker, you're actually kind of ironically trying to drive a little bit slower than you normally would. So we are about halfway through the last lap here. We can see the lap times have dropped off into the high 102s from sort of mid 101s at the beginning of the race. Lap 9 we've actually done a 104. I do think we've lost a couple of tenths in that lap due to traffic, but as we come into the last corner, there's been no traffic issues on this one, but we're 1.2 seconds down on our best lap. And as we cross the line, this last lap is going to be a 103.4. And that tyre wear looks like we are maybe about 50% wear on average around the 4 tyres. So let's move on to the tyre save and run. So what we're trying to do here is just do everything a whole lot smoother. Into corners like the first turn and the last hairpin, we're trying to maybe only use about 80% braking force, and in corners such as this one we're going round here, we're trying not to use the brakes at all and just sort of rolling the car through nice and smoothly. So we can sort of reduce how long we spend on the brakes per lap and then multiply that over 10 laps. That's all going to help our tyre wear. And we're just sort of trying to roll the car through the corners, coast through a lot of the corners rather than sort of put maximum braking force in and sort of try to generate the grip from that into the corners. Now I am certainly not an expert at this kind of braking technique, not at all. There's as I said earlier, it's very hard to adjust your driving when you've been sort of playing a game for a long time. But hopefully we shall see here as we sort of go through this tyre save and run, and then compare it to the first run. You can see just even somebody like myself who's still learning how to do all these things, you'll be able to see there's quite a tangible benefit to the tyre wear, how the lap times drop off and our actual finishing time. So let's see as we go into this hairpin. Let's take a look at our braking as we go in. We actually still hit 100% braking, but as soon as we've got the car slowed enough, we just let the car roll into the corner and out we come. So you can see, even though we're trying to save the tyres and be smooth, that the lap times there over the first 3 laps very, very similar to the previous run, so we're not really losing any speed, even though we're trying to be a lot more gentle with the car and the tyres. So we're going to fast forward through this run here. I think it's running at, I think we're fast forwarding through ×8. You can see as the sort of laps go on that the lap times are not dropping off quite as much as on the first run. But really the important laps for this one are laps 8, 9 and 10. Now we did a 102.9 on lap 8, a 104.0 on lap 9 and a 103.4 on lap 10 on the previous run. So lap 8 is in the books there, it's a 102.6, so we've gained 3 tenths on that one alone. Lap 9 is a 103.0, so that lap time a full second quicker, and we're on to lap 10. Let's see how we do the brakes into the first corner here. We hit 100% briefly, but we still seem to have some reasonable grip as we go through that corner. Now in the top right hand corner of the screen is the tyres at the same point of the first run, so we can get a comparison and see what sort of job we've done. Now it's hard to tell from this, but I've had a close look at it and it looks like we've maybe saved about 7-8% on the tyres. The tyres look about 7-8% better on this second run than they do on the first run. Now that might not seem like very much, but as you can see from the lap times on lap 8 and 9, and this one we're just about to finish here. Tyres that are about 7-8% better over a short lap like this, over half a second quicker per lap. And that finishing time there is 10:26.2, so 2.7 seconds quicker over the course of a 10-minute run. Now that might not sound like very much, but multiply that over a daily race C and that would be approaching 5 seconds. And it's free lap time if you can kind of adjust your driving style to drive in that manner. Now moving on to the second example, we are at the Suzuka short course. We're in the Group 3 Lexus 2017 model, and in this initial run, this is going to be the tyre saving run. So the way we're trying to save tyres in this one, as we sort of complete the first lap, we'll talk it through the first flying lap as we move into it. So try to come out the corner, last corner, gently as possible, with as little turn angle as possible, and we head down towards the first corner. So we're going to brake just a little bit earlier than we need, use the brakes all the way in, and then slowly downshift, and I think we only hit about 25% on the brakes there, just very briefly. As we come to the S's, we're just going to roll the car through, barely using the brakes at all. Don't think we've used the brakes yet in the S's, not even for this bit here. And just rolling the car through, keeping everything nice and smooth. Little dab in the brakes into that last corner just to get a little bit of rotation. Get a little bit of a slide on there, but that's because we touched the grass. And over the line we come for the first flying lap. 48.2 is that. Again, minimal braking into turn 1, using the brakes all the way into the apex before we start downshifting nice and slowly. Using the full width of the track so we're not putting too much pressure on the tyres. And we move into the fast forward segment of this one. Now we've got 20 laps to complete of this short track. I quite like using short tracks to demonstrate things like this because you can see the lap times rack up. Gives you a good idea of how the lap times are dropping off. So for this one we are going to see how long can we get all the way through to lap 20, keeping the lap times at under 50 seconds. Now just going through each lap, following exactly the same technique as I sort of discussed in the first couple of laps. You can see as we reach the halfway point there, tyre wear pretty high in this one. Obviously the majority of the turns are right hand turns, so most of the load getting put on the left hand side of the car. And you can see that it's the left rear that's taking the most punishment in this one. So we're still easily keeping it under 50-second laps here as we move into lap 19. It was what was it, 18 of 49, 3, 19. Oh sorry, I'm looking at the wrong laps. So that's lap 17 complete. Still keeping it in the 49, so we're still under that 50-second mark as we're trying to do. And we move into the last lap, we move into the normal speed footage. As you can see, despite the fact we've not had a whole lot of braking to do there in this lap, but it's a very short lap. Just the very nature of Suzuka, it's always been a bit of a tyre shredder. So the sense for this one, as I said before, is tyre wear at times 10, fuel at times 1. We're on the racing soft tyres. Even at this point, we're still looking after the tyres. We're still just maybe having to use a little bit of brake now as we go through the S's. We've not quite got the same grip as we did before. And hopefully we can keep this last lap under the 50-second mark. You can see we're really struggling with the car now though. The tyre wear may be down, I think that's about 30% on the left hand tyres. But we do manage to do a sub 52nd lap for the last one, and our finishing time there 16:24.0. So let's move on to the non-tyre saving run. So as I said before in the previous example, we're not trying to destroy the tyres here. We're just driving with no consideration for them. So rather just try to be smooth and can look after the car and not throw the car about too much. We're just going to use the grip that's available to us at the time. So you can see we'd already used a bit more braking into turn 1 than we were on the previous run. This is our first flying lap here. So we're using a little bit more of the brakes through the S's as well, just to get the car slowed down, rotated, and sort of transfer the weight to the front tyres to sort of generate a little bit more grip. And in this example, as we cross the line, we can see we're a little bit faster at this stage. I think we were doing sort of 48 1s and 2s for the first few laps. In this case, we are doing sort of 48 0s. So we move forward to lap 8, and everything looks pretty much the same here. So I'm mid 48s, which is very similar to what we're doing on the previous run. So we move forward on to lap 16, and you can see we've actually dropped into the 50s at this point. At this point in the tyre saving run, we were doing 49 3s and 4s. So quite a noticeable difference there for you. Just quite a good example of the benefit of looking after your tyres. If we look at the tyre wear, I would say our tyre wear at this stage is about the same as what we were when we finished the race in the previous run. So on to the last lap we go on the non-tyre saving run. You can see we're from lap 16 onwards, we're well into the 50s. We're over a second a lap slower at some points. And if you compare the tyres in the top right hand corner, what did we say? I said it was about 30% left on the tyres. I'd say we're more like 20% left on that, the left hand side tyres in this example. So again, it's around about that 10-15% difference. You can see we can seem to be able to save. If you can save about 10% on the tyres, it can be worth over a second a lap, even in a very short lap like this. So our last lap at 50.8 compared to a 49.9 we did in the last lap. So a difference of 9/10 and a difference of over 4 seconds on the finishing time. So even though the sort of non-tyre saving run was quicker than the tyre saving run initially, the benefit of saving the tyres was we were much quicker in the second half of the run, and 4 seconds is actually quite a big difference over the course of 16 minutes. So let's move on to example number 3. We're at Lago Maggiore East, I believe. We are in the Group 4 Nissan GTR. We're using the medium tyres for this one, the racing mediums. Again, tyre wear at times 10, fuel at times 1. So the slight difference with this one is that the Nissan GTR is a 4-wheel drive car, and therefore tends to sort of burn up the front tyres more in the rears, and so can sort of obviously the negatives that come with that is you start to suffer understeer and gotta get the front of the car turned in, and you start losing the lap time. So again, this first run here is the tyre saving run. Actually make a mistake into the hairpin here, but you can see that was an example of trying to downshift gradually through the gears rather than rattling down through them. Again, that just helps keep the car a little bit stable, stops the tyres from locking up, and then can stop you sliding as you sort of go into the corners. So again, we're just using all the things that we discussed earlier. We're trying to use the brakes as little as possible. Where we do have to brake, we're trying to put less force into the brakes. We're just rolling the car into the corners rather than throwing the car into the corners. And we're trying to sort of downshift more gently as we in the braking zones. So we're just going to jump straight to the end, straight on to lap 10 here on this run. It's a 10 lap race. So we've kept the car in the 24s for the first 3 laps there. Is that? I'm only looking at a little screen as I do this commentary. Sorry, laps 2 and 3 were in the 24s, then we drop into the 25s. But we've not suffered a massive amount of drop off in the lap time. Lap 9 there at 25.6. So here's a good example of nice slow downshifting. We're only about, we're less than 50% on the brakes into the corner. And you can see we've still got the car nicely slowed down. So the corners like this are just ones that you just want to be using. You know, try not to put too much lateral load on the tyres, sort of, rather than throwing the car in. Try to keep that tyre screeching down to a minimum. And let's see how we do it in the last hairpin. So we do hit 100% braking, but only very briefly. Nice slow down shifts. Get the car slowed down, get it in, and try and be as gentle on the power as you can as we come out. So lap 10 there, 25.9 to finish. So finishing time 40 minutes 17.9. So let's move on to the non-tyre saving run. Now we're not going to go through too much of it, we're just going to go straight on to lap 10. So you can already see a difference in the lap times. Only managing 1 lap in the 24s, then we drop in to the 25s, and while we managed to keep it in the 25s for the entire run on the tyre saving run, laps 8 and 9 we've dropped into the 26s in this one. Now if you look at the sort of difference between the tyres in the top right hand corner and what we have now, you can see that it's hard to tell on the small screen, but I have taken a look at it and that difference is about 10%. So we've done in the tyre saving run, putting everything together, try to look after the tyres. We've managed to save those front tyres by about 10% compared to this run where we weren't trying to save the tyres. And that's translated into nearly a second in lap time as we come towards the end of the race. You can see we actually suffered understeer there, nearly actually went wide off the track. Into the last hairpin we come. Now we actually lapped that car ahead of us in the tyre saving run, so we know we're actually a reasonable bit slower here. We come across the line for a 26.6 on the last lap. In comparison, the tyre saving run was a 25.9. So finishing time 14:22.5, so 4.6 seconds slower than the tyre saving run. Okay, so that's the end of our example runs there. As you can see, the benefit of saving the tyres is quite considerable at the end of each run. Also, as I've said before, trying to sort of put these techniques into practice is very, very difficult. It does require almost having to reprogram your driving style. I find I can sort of do them quite easily when I'm just in practice runs, but when I get into race situations I do find it a lot more difficult to sort of get the same kind of results. But I hope I've managed to demonstrate that if you can get your head around these, can get on top of these tyre saving techniques, then the results could be quite beneficial to your run. As I said, the kind of ironic thing about it is that it's 3 lap time. You're actually going to be faster over a race distance by trying to drive slower, as daft as that may seem. Okay, I think I've babbled on for long enough in this one. I hope there's been some useful information there. Maybe something you can sort of take forward. I'm going to put up those techniques on the screen, the sort of 4 or 5 things that I talked about at the beginning of the video. If you like what I'm doing here on this channel, hit that like button, give me a wee subscription. It's all very much appreciated. I'm trying to grow the channel a little bit, see where we can go with it. But if you've made it to this point, then you've done very, very well, and I congratulate you. So thanks very much for watching, and I shall see you on the next one. Goodbye now.